In this tutorial, we're going to check out Nitropack's brand new font subsetting feature. And as far as I know, they're the only speed optimization platform that offers font subsetting. And it's going to help your websites go faster. You're going to find out why in this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I try to answer them the best I can. My name is Bjorn from WP Learning Lab, where we help you get better at WordPress so you can earn more for yourself, for your customers, and for your business. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you click subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Now let's get started. Nitropack just released a brand new feature to help you make your sites faster. It's called font subsetting. What does that mean? Basically, it means that it's reducing the font files that are being loaded on your site to only what's completely necessary. You may not have known this, but if you have a font that's not Verdana or New Times Roman or Georgia, I believe, your website queries a server, a third-party server, to pull that font in. It's usually Google Fonts, especially if you use page builders and you use a fancy font in there. They're almost all tied in to Awesome Font or Google Fonts. And when you check out these fonts, let's just go to Montserrat, for example. If you scroll down, you view all styles. Maybe you're using the thin one for your headline. Click on this. Where'd it go? Show me there it is. So you click on this one, Montserrat Thin. This is the code to have that pulled into your page. Now your page builder does that for you. You don't have to worry about that. But every time your page loads, this query is run to download this font for your headline. And while that's happening, nothing else is running. Nothing else is being loaded on your site because it has to do this first. This is called a render blocking resource. I'm sure you've heard of that. But let's say you have the thin for your headline. Maybe you've got the bold as well. That's a different one. That's a different set of glyphs you have to pull in. And let's say you have a different font. Maybe you have Oswald. You have this one somewhere. Super bold, 700. It all comes in with one code. That's doable. But it still needs to load each of these things. Each of these fonts need to be loaded. And the more you have, the longer it takes. Now what the Nitropack feature does, the font subsetting, is it will look at your site. It will determine which glyphs or which letters or which icons you're using, and it will compress the font files to just the ones you need for that page load. And they even put it in line in your HTML, which means it's not render blocking anymore. This link rel style sheet href css style.css, that means a CSS style sheet is being loaded. That's blocking your render. Google Fonts, you'll see these are, let's see if I can zoom in. These are a style sheet right here. Link, href, css, rel style sheet. It's a style sheet that's being loaded. Your website's not rendering while this is loading. This feature alleviates that, which is pretty awesome. No other speed optimization company currently has this. We're going to check this out on a website that I have in a minute. But for now, let's look at this little screenshot here. So they're pulling in, without optimization, all these fonts on this demo website with the sizes over here. Those are pretty average sizes for different fonts because it pulls in the whole alphabet. So if I'm adding in just regular 400 of Oswald here, it pulls in the whole alphabet, even though I might not be using every letter or every glyph, as it's called. Every letter, every icon is called a glyph. So it's not using every glyph on my website because I'm not using all the letters, but it has to load them all. Nitropack makes it so it only loads the ones you're actually using, and you can have font reductions like you see right here, or font file reductions. This is the exact same font files. They're renamed because Nitropack has now optimized them and cached them and put them in line on your HTML, and they're way, way smaller, as you can see here. I have a website right over here, rvwithfamily.com. This is GT metrics. You run the scan. After the results come in, you go to waterfall. You'll see all the resources that are being loaded over here. And you can search for font extensions. For example, TTF is one. So we have some Astra fonts being pulled in. Currently, it's benefiting from the Nitropack CDN, so it loads faster than it normally would. But this does not have a subsetting working yet because that's a brand new feature that I haven't activated yet on this account. It also has the WOOF2, two Fs, WOOF2, also benefiting from Nitropack CDN, and this is also not being subsetted right now. And the subsetting is only available on the scale plan, which is the biggest plan of Nitropack. So it's not available on the free, or let's just look at the pricing page. It's not available on business, not available on the free, business, or growth. It's the scale plan that has this font subsetting because it's a pretty awesome feature. So let's hop into my Nitropack account and we'll see what effect we can have on these numbers here, because I might be able to reduce these. I don't use a lot of custom fonts, Google Fonts on my websites, so I might end up actually using the whole alphabet or all the glyphs in here. I'm not sure, but we're going to find out in a minute. And this also works for font awesome icons and other icons, not just font libraries, but also icon libraries, this font subsetting. So let's hop into our Nitropack account and see what we can do to make these file sizes smaller and make our site load faster. So if we go to our Nitropack account, head into the main dashboard, and you have to make sure you have the scale plan, otherwise this won't work. The scale plan is the biggest one. It's good for 1 million page views a month, which is pretty high traffic websites. And so you have to have the scale plan for the font subsetting to work. When you have the scale plan, you go over to settings, you go to fonts. It has this new badge here, meaning it's new. Then we go down to font subsetting and we turn that on. The advanced options open up. You can close them again by clicking here. Here you choose what type of fonts to apply it to, icon fonts, text fonts, or all fonts. I'm going to choose all. Here we can manually include glyphs that we want to have in the font subset. So if we find that Nitropack is going to our site and it's trying to figure out which icons and fonts are there, but it's getting something wrong, we can manually include things here. So for example, if we go to a website that has icons, like this one here, we see icons on these buttons here. And maybe Nitropack, for whatever reason, because stuff sometimes goes wrong, maybe it's not detecting that this is an icon and it's not showing it when the page loads. So what we can do is add it manually. Right click on here, go to inspect. In this case, for font awesome icons, you go to where it says before, and we can see the actual icon inside the content over here. Let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. Inside the content parameter for CSS, this is the actual icon, believe it or not. So we can copy this, copy what's inside of the brackets, or sorry, inside the quotes, and then put that into this field here. And now add a new line, and then we can add the next one. This is the actual code for that icon. So we can add the next one on the next line. And let's just make sure it's different for this one. I don't have these icon codes memorized, but this one, if it's different, then I'm going to assume that it's picking 2 different codes because they're both these squares. So let's copy those. Sometimes you see actual icons in there. Sometimes you see code numbers like this. Just depends on what your website's doing, really. Let's paste that on a new line. Move that to a new line. And we see they're different. So we're going to assume, or I'm going to assume, that those are the actual codes for those 2 different icons. And you want to make sure after you add those in and choose your settings here, you come back to the top and save settings. And now, after you purge the cache and the cache is rerun for your site, you're going to have font subsetting. So let's go ahead and purge our cache. To do that, go to cache status and go to purge all cache and OK. And once that's done, Nitropack is going to start recaching everything. And then when that's done, we can test out the new cache page inside GTmetrix to see if there are any changes in these file sizes, which there should be. I'm just going to pause this video because sometimes this takes a few minutes for the cache pages to start appearing, especially the one that we want, and I'll be back when that's done. I'm back. It's been a few minutes and we started caching our pages. I checked in this list to see if the home page was cached, and it is. Even though it says forbidden here for some reason, on the next page you'll see right here, cached optimized for desktop and mobile. So we can head back to GTmetrix and scan our site again to see how we've done with our font subsetting. The results are in. We go down to waterfall now. And now we search again for our font extensions. In our case, it was Wolf2. We see here, Wolf2, Wolf2. Those are the 2 fonts that we were hoping to shrink down with the subsetting. And the first one's at 6.4 kilobytes and 40 milliseconds load time. The second one's at 4.2 kilobytes, 35-second load time. But what was the original? If we head back to here, we see that there were 76 kilobytes for the top one and 13 and load times were also much higher. So it made a big change because I don't use a whole lot of icons. These are font awesome, and I don't use a whole lot of icons in the site. And so by having just the subsetting, we shrunk those file sizes a lot. And for sites that use lots of icons, lots of custom fonts, which I usually don't do, but for sites that do, this can have a huge effect on their load times. Next up, check out this video right here, which is a complete walkthrough of Nitropack, and then check out this playlist, which is all about speeding up your WordPress site. If you haven't done so yet, click subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss new future videos. My name is Bjorn from WP Learning Lab. Till next time, keep crushing it, and I will see you in the next video.